I've got a trick that I want to kick off with you. You ready?
This is exciting. I'm normally not the one being performed for, so this is great.
Okay, I was going to do a card trick, and then I thought it wasn't, because it's a podcast, it wasn't going to be as good, but I'm going to give you the card trick at the end. But I think I can read your mind.
Okay.
Can you read people's minds?
I've done stuff like that in the past.
Okay, fine. So you ready for this?
You know what? I'm going to grip onto the table here.
Okay, ready. Yes, you might take off, buddy. Here we go. You ready for this? Here we go. Okay. What is 3 plus 1?
3 plus 1 is 4.
Let's start. I messed that up. Let's start again. Here we go. You ready for this? Here we go. What's 2 plus 1?
3.
Mm-hmm. What's 1 plus 3?
4.
What's 4 minus 1?
3.
Think of a vegetable. Was it a carrot?
It was. Look at that, eh? Amazing. How many people listening at home also thought of carrot? Put it in the comments, send us carrot emojis. Do you know what I mean? This is what it's all about.
Is your mind blown? Magic is a thing. When I was a kid, I was obsessed with it. And I think, what is the obsession around magic, around mind reading, around all that kind of thing that is sort of unknown? Why do you think we're obsessed with it?
I think it's exactly that. It's the unknown. We're all equally excited by the unknown, but also frightened by it. That's the thing for me about magic that I love the most, because it's one of those things, probably one of the only things that I know that brings out fear and hope in exactly the same moment.
Explain that. What do you mean?
Well, when you witness something magical, instantly you're hopeful and excited about, wow, there's things in this world I didn't understand, and maybe there's more to learn. But you're also scared because you're like, wait a minute, I don't know how everything works. And that frightens people.
And people like to be surprised, don't they? We like to have something that we can't quite figure out. And that does also, you're right, put us in a place of fear, because we like to know.
You want the answers, but we also don't want the answers.
So then why did you become obsessed with magic? And we can get into the other stuff, but what was it specifically about magic that you liked?
For me, when I saw my grandpa do magic for the first time, he was the main male role model that was around my life. And seeing him do this stuff, it made him otherworldly. It made him amazing. Like, I lived on a council estate. It was rough. There was, the most of the male role models around were doing dodgy shit. Whereas he was, he kept me on the straight and narrow, and he gave me my sensibilities, and he shared the most incredible things. And later on, he started to show me how to do them myself. And that feeling I got when I experienced magic for the first time is something that I'll never forget. And it's like I was surrounded in fear, but seeing that magic gave me a sense of hope that I think I needed, and I've taken that spark and I've literally used it to carry me right to this very moment sitting here with you.
Really?
Do you know what I mean? Without seeing magic for the first time, I never would have gone on to achieve the things I've done, or even believed that it was possible to do them. And he showed me that the impossible was possible. I tried BMXing. I tried skateboarding. I tried playing football. I tried all these things, and I wasn't very good at them. And when I first dabbled in magic, there was a natural flair that I didn't realize I had until my grandpa started to nurture that in me. And when I shared it with other people, it was the first time people looked at me with any sense of respect. I think I was so misunderstood as a kid, and I had my own ambitions. I lived in my own head, and I didn't have, my dad went to jail when I was really young, and my mum had me really young, and she wasn't always able to be around because she was going to school, to college herself, and my grandparents were helping to raise me a lot of the time. So I would basically just kind of come up with my own ideas, and I didn't have parents telling me, you can't do this and you can't do that. So I remember when I was 15, I think that was the first time I came to London, and I got on the £1 Megabus. It was a big blue bus. You pay £1, and it takes you about 8 hours to get to London.
I've done it from Leeds.
Yeah. And I got that pound, and I had about a tenner, right? And I came to London, and I'd been doing magic like in the estate. I'd been kind of performing a little bit of magic, and do it, kind of earning my street credentials as a performer. But I'd heard about this place called Covent Garden, the home of street magic. Heard about St. James Street Corner, which is the area where all the magicians perform, and I wanted to come and see it for myself. I jumped on this Megabus and I came to London, and you know what? I got to London and it took me so long to find Covent Garden. I didn't know where I was going because I got off. You know what? I got off the Megabus. The Megabus dropped us off at Golders Green, right? Yeah. I thought like in Bradford
or Victoria. Like,
yeah. But like it's because I didn't realise you could stay on to go to Victoria, right? It dropped us off at Golders Green, and like in Bradford, right? There's like you get a 10-minute bus to the town centre, and then you get on the train. So I just thought London's going to be like that. I'll get off my bus, and Covent Garden's just going to be there.
There'll be a man with a magic hat. Covent Garden this way, and you just followed them.
It was mad. So it took me ages to find Covent Garden, and to the point where I kept thinking I was in Covent Garden, and I'm started performing on the streets, and then I realised I'm in a dodgy area, and I shouldn't really be doing magic on the streets, let alone speaking to people. People thought I was like a beggar. You know what I mean? And so eventually I found Covent Garden, and I found some magicians, and one of those magicians was a guy called Sean. And I kept in touch with him for years. And then eventually, when I first moved to London, I ended up moving in with Sean. I stayed in his spare room, and basically I'd kind of basically go and busk in Covent Garden, and then the money I earned, I would just pay him for letting me stay there, and I'd kind of survive that way.
It's incredibly entrepreneurial.
I think, looking now at it, I think so. But back when I was doing it, I didn't feel like I was, doing anything particularly special. I didn't feel like I was striving to do anything. I just had heard about this place in magic books, and I wanted to kind of go and perform where the top magicians performed. Even when I performed down there at the beginning, I was probably terrible. Do you know what I mean? I didn't know how to build a crowd. I didn't really understand what went into performing in that way. And but I learned so much from it, and I think it's a lot of those things that I learned there I still use today when I'm performing.
There are so many things I want to unpack, because firstly, with that idea of performing in front of a crowd, not knowing what you're doing, I believe truly that naivety is our biggest weapon.
Yes. Yeah.
Without a doubt. And if you knew what you knew today, there's no way you would have got on that bus and gone to Covent Garden to perform, because you would have been, and if you didn't have the skills, or you didn't understand what you're doing, or didn't know how to busk or draw a crowd, but the fact you were naive at the time leads you towards, you go, well, I can go and do that, because it feels like an adventure.
Yeah, it was an adventure, but at the same time, that naivety, as you say, played a huge role in me having the confidence to do it, because I have people say to me now, like, I have people now say who wouldn't feel comfortable traveling to London on their own from places like Bradford, do you know what I mean? Or from places like, up from out of London, because London is deemed as quite a scary place. Intimidating place, yeah. And don't get me wrong, there's scary places everywhere in the world. But I think the naivety played a huge role in me feeling confident enough to just get out there and do it.
And you're 15 when you first do that.
Yeah.
That is so young. I didn't know what the hell I was doing. At 15 years old, I think I was trying to kiss a girl called Daisy. That's what all I remember doing, 15 years old. You say that you were living in fear the entire time, but then it's juxtaposing, because you're most people, as you say, would be fearful to go to London, to bus, to do those kind of things. But you're not scared to do that. But also you're living in fear where you are at the same time. So you should be scared of that. But you're not.
No, because the kids who lived on the estate when I lived there weren't very nice to me. Even the kids at school weren't very nice to me. I'd get beat up every single day. I'd get my dinner money taken from me. Stuck in wheelie bins, thrown into the dam. Like every time I stepped out of my house to go to school, to go anywhere, whilst I'm walking through that estate, there's a chance I might get jumped. The way I looked at it is, the minute I'm away from that environment, I'm safe. Even if naively I ended up in a place that was far more dangerous than that estate. But the people in London, they didn't know anything about me. They didn't know where I was from. They didn't look at me as the smallest kid on the estate. They just looked at me as just a kid in London. And I had nothing to hide and everything to gain. So, the dread was going back from London, back to Bradford, knowing what I was going back to. They would just say, oh, you've got to be careful going down there. Don't be, get it out of your head. You need to focus on your school, focus on your college, whatever it is, and, and get a proper job. Do you know what I mean? Like, get yourself an education. And I think it's super important to get an education. But I think what they misunderstood is that I was getting a different type of education.
Which one is more important, right? Who knows?
It's impossible to say, because if I didn't get that education, then I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing today. And I think the stuff that I learned at art college, now I'm starting to actually use in my work.
Like what?
Designing the logos, the thinking about the brand.
But then what you're talking about there potentially is that there's some sort of everything happens for a reason. And that's also troubling for someone possibly like yourself, like everyone, because we all have our ups, our downs, our lefts, right? We all have our demons. And you were horrendously bullied and, attacked when you were younger. But then are you able to forgive all of that and let all of that go? Because you're going, well, I wouldn't be what I'm doing right now. I wouldn't be here today without all of that.
I think I can forgive it to a certain extent, yeah, because I think a lot of that was kids doing what kids do, and a lot of things that kids do has no meaning or bearing on you as an adult. But the battle scars below the surface will always be there. But I think I've been able to take them and use them for a positive thing in myself. So, for example, like, I can get nervous going to do a performance.
Still now?
Yeah. But the difference now is that when I was first starting to do magic back home, when I wasn't who I am now, if the performance didn't go well, I might get punched in the face. Whereas now, if I'm a bit nervous about doing a performance, I just got to think to myself, well, you know what? Ultimately, even if this goes wrong, I'm not going to get punched in the face.
That is wild.
Like, I think the environment that I was grown up in gave me the skills I needed to be able to deal with everything else outside of that.
But that's still so hard. I mean, honestly, like, to have that sort of threat on your doorstep every day is a lot. Like, to be
but I think that's. But
I'm not saying.
I'm not like I'm not a special case. Like, there's millions of people out there who will be listening to this or watching this who live in that environment all the time, who have it way tougher than I have. Do you know what I mean? Like, I never want it to be a woe is me story, because I think for me, it's a positive story. It's like I've had those experiences and I've taken something from them and turned it into something beautiful. I've taken dark times and created light from within it. And I think that's what I want to share about it, because I know that there's other people out there who are going through this, who feel isolated, they feel alone, they feel there's no escape from it. And I'm sitting here as living proof that you can. Yeah. And for me, that's real magic.
Yeah.
That's if I can inspire one person to either speak up about what's happening to them, or to not let that situation define them, then that's a different type of magic that will far outlive any of the tricks I could do.
Yeah, it's amazing, because you are, and you're not, from stuff I've researched, stuff I've listened to, and what you said, you're not someone who you don't play a victim. You're almost wanting to encourage people you can sort of do anything you want to do if you really put your mind to it, which I really like. And what I find interesting is that, with magic feels like a certain group of individuals, And it's almost like you found your place, like your friend Sean, as you said his name was Sean.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
you came to London, you met this guy and you're still friends with him and lived with him. You must have, when you were starting to do magic and do these things, you were suddenly finding your people, in a sense.
Yeah.
And your group, your tribe.
That was the one thing when I came to London and I met these magicians at James Street Corner in Covent Garden. Suddenly, I was speaking to people that spoke the same language as me. You know, they were the oddballs themselves. You know, they were the outcasts who didn't feel like they had a place, but then they found that place, and suddenly I felt accepted, and you know, even to this
was that
day,
freeing? Was that a moment?
massively freeing?
Yeah,
massively freeing. And I think this is coming from a sense of maturity, because I've had to grow and go through things to have this understanding. But for me, I can't play the victim, because I know that deep down, anybody who's like wronged me or done something to me where they've lashed out or whatever, they're clearly a victim of something themselves, and they just don't know how to deal with it. So they're taking it out on someone like me in that moment. It doesn't necessarily always make them a bad person.
Yeah.
It just means they need to find their own escape. And unfortunately, in those moments, I became a punching bag, for example. But I know that there's always something deeper going on, and I try not to be judgmental. You know, if anything, magic for me is a way to connect with people. So I think we all go through life, and in some respects, we all end up becoming a victim at some point. But we all have the capacity to not let that moment hold us back or define us, and you can always take something positive from every negative situation.
Yeah, but that's also in hindsight. Now, that's a great... I completely agree with you. I think that's such a great mindset to have. I always look at life, right? It's so cheesy, but life is like that heart monitor, but goes up and down, right? And if you're flatlining, you're dead, right? It has to have those up and downs in order to survive.
Yeah.
And I spoke to a comedian once who said to me his favorite quote ever that he heard was, "This too shall pass." And I totally believe that whatever situation you're in, it will get better. But sometimes when you're stuck in that moment, it's very hard to see the light. It's very hard to see the blue clouds across above the grey. Do you think though that creating Dynamo, because you could then hide behind that persona, do you think that was easier for you?
Yeah.
It was.
Yeah.
Because that Dynamo was this person who could go on stage and be anyone and create and do magic and meet these different people. But then Stephen could then be the person on the side and go home. So was it two different personalities?
To a certain extent, yeah. I guess Dynamo was the more confident alter ego of myself. But then the problem was it became too hard to live up to the expectations that everyone else had of Dynamo. I'm no longer performing for me anymore. I'm performing for all the people who have bought tickets, who watched the TV shows, who put me in this position that I'm in. But the thing is, that's difficult, because when I'm creating ideas and working on new material, it's sometimes that can inform the decisions I make, and I've ended up in the past choosing magic and doing certain things a certain way to please others at the detriment to me not feeling happy with it, and me taking me out of my comfort zone. And I think it's important to go outside your comfort zone, but slowly over years I've felt like the life of it was sucked out for me.
Because you weren't staying true to yourself.
No. And I think that, but Dynamo is dead, my show that has just come out. I think that's probably the truest example of the way I view magic. Now, if you watch that show, I buried myself alive at the end, so that's a big stunt, I guess. But the magic in the show, it was small, close-up, intimate miracles, For me, the real magic in the show wasn't even the magic I was doing. It was the conversations with the people.
Which are amazing. Because you're doing it with these people who have been through similar situations to you in lots of ways in terms of the mental sort of hardships. And it's amazing. The connection you have with them is incredible.
That's what I was trying to show. Like, that's the reason why each of those people were picked. I was going through some difficult times on my own, to the point where I didn't really want to be on this earth anymore. And because it was like a Jekyll and Hyde in my own head. And I lost myself a bit. And it was reading the stories of these other people's adversities. I'll be honest, it started with Tyson Fury. You know, when he shared his struggles publicly, like, he's somebody that as a northerner, as somebody who's from like the lower classes, to see him, I can relate to him far more than I can relate to like a therapist or to like a Harvard professor. So when I saw him open up, and he's such a big alpha male, do you know what I mean? As a boxer, he's someone who you should never give away your weaknesses to your opponents. But what's he do? He does the opposite. He just throws them all out there, and it makes him more untouchable. Do you know what I mean? And it opened up my mind to think, well, you know, I took inspiration from him, and I wanted to, and I started to create magic revolving around the inspiration that he gave me. And I was like, I want to show him that magic, and I want to have a conversation with him about what it was that he inspired in me, in the hope it might inspire other people in the same way. We are all just human, and our circumstances do not have to be the thing that defines us. Every single one of us has our own magic that we can share. Like, for me, magic is a feeling. It's a feeling that you get when you witness something you can't explain, or something that inspires you in a way that you never would have imagined before you saw it. And I do that through my performances, but every single one of us has the ability to do it. Like, you'll do that from people watching your podcast. I know you do, because I read the comments on the bottom, and you can tell people are inspired by the conversations you're having.
Yeah.
You know, by you're opening people's eyes to worlds that they wouldn't see otherwise. You know, there'll be people watch this who've never seen any of my stuff, who see it for the first time, and you've introduced them to my magic. You know, you watch your favourite footballer score a goal, and it feels magical. Yeah. Right? You hold a newborn baby for the first time, and that feels magical. You know what I mean? I think we all have the capacity to share magic in one way, shape, or form. And that, for me, is the real magic that I'm trying to spread. You know?
Is that the difference between Stephen and Dynamo? Where Dynamo was a performer, where Stephen's actually connecting with the individual. Does that make sense? Are you going to do another show, surely? There must be one. You must be one planning.
I've got a lot of magic I want to share. As much as I find it scary, the prospect of going on stage, I do want to kind of make a live show. Whether it will be in like a smaller theatre or an arena, I don't know yet. I like the intimacy of like a smaller venue. But I want to create the best magic show ever. I think ultimately, I want to create the best magic show I can ever create. And maybe that's the show. Maybe I create a show and we document everything. Do you know what I mean?
When you became Dynamo, what was the first card trick that you became good at?
It was this. I can show you.
Can you show it to me?
Yeah, it's looking at it now. It's not. It's not that super, because it was.
I'm beyond excited. Honestly. Okay, so this is your 18 years old. You're back in New York. This is the first trick that you were doing to someone I'm in the audience. I've just got up.
I'm going to do it verbatim, exactly how I said everything that I said, and exactly the way I did it.
I want nothing less. I want nothing less.
Like, things I'm about to say, I thought were cool back then, right? So just don't judge me.
Okay, here we go. So we're going to do the trick.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So just grab one out.
Okay. Yeah.
Have a look at it. You can show it to the camera or whoever.
Yeah.
And then, would you say that's about halfway down, yeah?
Yeah, it's about halfway down.
So pop it right there. And the idea was, I'd put it halfway down, I'd give it a bit of a shuffle, and you'd see that it's not on the bottom, right? It's not on the top.
Yeah.
But this was the first thing that I was doing back then. I'd get someone to snap their fingers, and the card would jump to the top.
What?
But I wouldn't just do it once. Like, I'd take it, right? I'd put it in the middle, right? You'd see that it's not there, yeah? And you know what you need to do?
What?
Snap your fingers. Yeah, every time. Look, we can even leave it sticking out, right? We'll just use half the deck. Just push it all the way in. You can see it's not on top.
Yeah.
Just snap your fingers. Turn it over.
No, get out of here! I watched it closely. No, it's not there.
Oh, wait, no, sorry. This is only the top of the bottom half, because that's the top right there.
Yeah. What? What the hell? No, but I put it back in the back. No, well, I put it back in.
Because this is where I'm going to use some of my old scripting.
Okay, here we go. What is the scripting?
Right, because I put it in the middle, right? You see, it's not on the top, right? It's not on the bottom. Whoop, there it is. You know, so it keeps coming back to the top no matter what. And then the thing is, people always want to see the moment it comes back to the top, right? So if I'm going to stand up a little bit so you get a good angle on this.
Yeah.
Right. So like you can place it in, right, and you can see it's not there.
Yeah.
And you want to see it visually appear. But let's break it down and do it stage by stage. Because look, if I put it...
No, you can't do it that slowly because I'm going to see it.
That's near the bottom, right? You can see that's fairly near the bottom. If I give a little blow, see it melts up to the middle, right? See it's gradually moving its way to the top. And the last bit right there, right to the top, right through the pack. So, but that was literally...
That is unbelievable. But the reason you must love it as well so much is because it's the audience's reaction. That's part of it, surely, right? No, it's not only the fact that you're able to do it and you're performing this amazing thing, but it's the reactions you get of. That's what's so pleasing, isn't it?
Yeah, like for me, seeing the kind of glint in your eyes when I'm doing it, that's the feeling I felt when my grandpa showed me magic, and now I get to share that with you. But the one thing my grandpa did with magic is he never made me feel less than him when he performed for me. Right? And I've watched a lot of magicians, and there's this natural thing where it's like they're up on this pedestal and everyone else is down it. They're the all-powerful magician. You know, you look at like a wizard on TV and you're like, you know, they're above everybody else because they have these incredible skills. And for me, the way I look at it, I'm not performing magic for you. We're sharing in the experience together.
Yeah, but that's the best way because you make it so relatable. Because you're having fun with it. You're so right. There's no sort of status within it. That sort of tribal aspect is really...
The shared experience.
Yeah.
I didn't have the close family life growing up. And I didn't really have a massive group of friends. So I felt so lonely and isolated. And in some ways, it's helped me because being on my own, being kind of isolated over time, meant that I had time to dedicate myself to learn all these skills. Because if I had friends, if I was confident enough to go out there and talk to girls and stuff like that when I was a kid and when I was younger growing up, then that might have distracted my time and I wouldn't have put the dedication into mastering a skill. And I think as I got older, I realized I had these skills that I'd worked on, but I had no social skills and I hadn't been around people. I didn't even know the first thing about being around people. But magic allowed me to connect with people in a different way, in a way that I felt comfortable with.
Also, way closer.
Yeah,
it's more. It's a more intimate connection because you're sharing something. You're sharing almost a secret, so you feel more connected. I don't know why that. And when I watch your programs and your shows, and when you're doing it with different people, doesn't matter if it's Tyson Fury or I don't know, it's Pete Davidson or whatever. You because you're showing magic, and just now you feel a more intimate connection for some reason. I don't know why, but it feels, for me anyway, personally, that's what it feels. I don't know if you felt the intimate connection, but I did.
No, I think maybe for you, from your perspective, you're getting to see the heart of me because it's the heart that I put into the magic. And as much as I talk about magic being the mask or the thing that I maybe used to hide behind, there is an incredible amount of me that I put into it. And I think more so now, I'm comfortable putting the real me and all of me into it, because it's the thing that I live for. It's my drive. It's my passion. So maybe the reason you feel maybe closer connected to it in that moment is because it is the opportunity where you're getting to experience the real me.
With your show, you open up talking about the fact that you just didn't want to be here. And it took me a long time personally to be open about how I felt. I went through really bad anxiety and had something called depersonalization at one point, which is just a place where your body basically goes into autopilot because you've had so much anxiety within yourself. And I just didn't tell anyone forever because I was embarrassed, I was scared, I was upset. I didn't know if anyone cared. And I've heard you speak about it as well. And I admire you, honestly, for being so open about it, because it's kind of a scary place still. But there was a moment which you said, and you've spoken about on, I think it was the 6th of November. Only if you're comfortable doing it.
Yeah, sure. I'll talk about it a little bit. So on the 6th of November 2020, I tried to take my own life. I kind of just exploded. I was slamming myself into everything I could see in front of me in my house, put my head through doors, through mirrors, like just kept pounding away because I was trying to shut off the noise in my head. I was hurting myself, punching walls, I wanted to feel something. But it's weird, when I was doing all of this, there was obviously pain I was feeling, but I didn't feel anything else. And my wife basically found me on the floor. I was actually in the dog bed in front of one of the mirrors that I'd stuck my head through, and came to, like bleeding and just kind of out of it. And yeah, I think waking up like that was the most ashamed I'd ever felt.
You should never feel shame, because you just were in such a place where you just felt like you just didn't want to exist, which is so awful.
The shame was different, because when I was doing it, I wasn't thinking about anybody else. I was just seeing the reflection of myself back, and I hated what I was seeing. And I had all this noise, all this pressure in my head, and I didn't know how to switch it off. So I just tried to smash it out of me, and I ended up smashing my own lights out. But then the first thing I saw when I opened my eyes and came to was my wife and my dogs looking down on me, like my wife bawling her eyes out on the phone to the hospital. And it was the shame of knowing that she found me like this. And in that moment, the magnitude of what I'd done came in, because I was like, if I had have died, then what she would have found would have been far worse than what she actually did find. And what she did find is the worst thing I think she's probably ever found. And that was my fault. So, it's it doesn't matter, like, she's mad cool, you know what I mean? She didn't judge me for it, and she got me the help I needed, and she still does. She's been my rock. But I can never forget that she saw that.
I just do. Thank you. Like, honestly, I just can't. I've heard you speak with this, and I know how passionate now you are. You said it today, where you want to find that little bit of magic in everyone else and inspiring people. And I know people will be listening to this and just feeling that they're probably in a dark place, or feeling horrible, or feeling a certain way. And you will be inspiring them that they can get out of it. and they can get past that and they can move forward and get through it. It's a really scary, scary place to be in.
I think for me is, I don't want that to be the thing that defines me. Do you know what I mean?
But I don't think it is. I think it's more I think it's just incredibly powerful to you and to your story, and for people to understand that we're all, again, goes back to think that we're all human at times and we all feel certain things.
Yeah.
I would say it's bravery rather than anything to then speak about it. And I'm so glad that you're here now, be able to talk about it.
I do feel very, very lucky. You know, I feel not just lucky to be alive, but lucky that my wife was there. You know, lucky that the people that she found to help me are in my life. Do you know what I mean? Like they've opened up my mind to different things in my life that I wasn't focusing on, and I was focusing on some of the wrong things at the times. And I think the experiences I've had since then, I value so much more, because I realize now what I could have lost. Some of the problems in my head that led to that place, I look back now and I'm thinking, why was I even bothered about that?
Yeah.
One of the things that my therapist tells me to do a lot is I've become obsessed with bullet journaling now.
What do you mean by bullet journal?
Bullet journal, it's a type of journal,
Sure.
but bullet journal, like there's a bit of an art form to it. If you go on YouTube, you find loads of people doing it. But like my therapist told me to, you know, whenever you're feeling ill thoughts, write them down rather than act on them.
Yeah.
And then reflect on them a week later and see if it's still a problem. And if it is, then you have to obviously work on a way to deal with it.
This is great.
And so I've got these bullet journals, and I've got literally stacks of them. And they started off as a place that I would just write down my negative thoughts and opinions and feelings, and then I'd reflect on them. And a lot of the times I realised that in the moment it felt like the worst feeling in the world. This thing's happening to me. Why? But then when I look back at it, I'm like, it's not even a problem anymore. I can't even bother. I don't even know why I was worried about that. And what ended up happening is I got in this habit of writing these journals to the point where now my journals are full of magic ideas. They're full of, like, you know, I wrote the whole Dynamo is Dead TV show in these journals. Like the idea behind it, the magic, the routines, you know, and it literally, like, I've always had processes. I've always, you know, written ideas in books about it, but I've never done it this way ever in my life. And this new process, I think it's made my magic and what I do a lot more considered. You know what I mean? I think I'm approaching every moment in life now with real gratitude for still being here, but also being able to do what I do, and being able to share it. I mean, my notebooks, I kind of write them in my own language. They won't make sense to anybody else. Maybe someday in 100 years from now, maybe someone will find them and try and decipher.
It's going to be like the Pepys' diary. You had all of these experiences. So then what created Dynamo?
So I dropped out of college a few years before, right, when I was 18. And my grandma, she lives in America. She still lives there now. She lived there for as long as I can remember. She's married to an amazing man called Martin, and they have 19 award-winning golden retriever dogs. Right, they go to do all the dog shows. Like they're like the best dogs ever. Do you know what I mean? They win all. They've got they win all the pedigree chum competitions and all that sort of stuff.
That's hilarious. Right? That's amazing.
So like, yeah, you can go Cobblestone Goldens if you want to check them out on the internet.
Check it out, yeah.
So for my 18th birthday, my nana, who lives in America, Nana Lynn, she bought me a plane ticket and sorted out like a visa so that I could stay there for like, you know, I stayed there for like 7 months sort of thing, because she's got a green card and stuff like that now, because she's been there for so long. And I went out there with the the ambition that I'm going to help her with the dog shows in the daytime. And she was traveling all across America. And in the evenings, I would go and find the local magic clubs or the Covent Gardens of America. You know, like Las Vegas is the home of magic. Do you know what I mean? Like, I went out there and like I met, you know, David Copperfield. You know,
Wow.
I met Penn and Teller. I met my heroes, but I met people like Dean Dill in New Orleans who are like, these are like masters whose books I've read, you know. And the idea was, I knew deep down I wanted to make magic my career.
Yeah.
But I didn't know how to do it.
What I find just so fascinating, right, is the sense of there's just no fear. Most people are restricted because they don't want to challenge themselves. They either want to live a simplistic life, they want to stay in Bradford because it's too scary to leave there. So they're just like, well, I'll just stay here, that's fine. Or other people don't want to go to America because it's a different country. Why would we do it? But you had none of that. You were just like, I'm just going to go and do it.
Well,
I'm going to take the bus.
It was a free flight. You know what I mean? When Anna was paying for a free flight, there's another chance to escape.
I was doing that. How old? You're 18.
I was lucky enough to find so many incredible magicians that were willing to give time to someone like me and tell me about how they've managed to turn it into something.
But just hang on, you arrived there. You arrived there. How do you find the first magician? Where do you go?
So there was a little bit of method behind the madness.
Okay.
Right? So there's a thing called the Society of American Magicians. And I was part of the Bradford Magic Circle back then. I'd just won my first big competition. I was Bradford Magic Circle close-up champion. And that was great. I mean, there was only about 5 entrants, you know. And I think, and I was the youngest. I think I got the cute factor, you know, but it was good.
Was there a parade through Bradford?
And then, I knew that there was, where my nana lived, I knew there was a magic club because she lived in Memphis, right? So there was a Society of American Magicians of the Memphis like ring, so to speak, and I managed to contact them to say that I was coming out there. And David Copperfield was filming his new special in Memphis Arena, and I went there and I saw the performance, you know what I mean? I was in the crowd for it was the special of a tornado of fire. And it was just amazing seeing the master at work. And then, you know, I remember I bought his VHS tapes after, you know, that were his highlights reels. And they were like, you know, TV magic specials, which I guess in some ways inspired what I ended up going on to make in the future. And then we'd go on, you know, there was a massive Winnebago on you know, like a camper, long massive camper van. Me, my nana, 19 dogs.
Golden retrievers.
I pretty much I shared a bed with Tomba and Chester most of the time. They were my favourites. I'd help her do grooming in the daytime, and then in the evenings, you know, and she'd give me some like pocket money for helping her do, you know, I'd kind of earn my spending money, and then she'd drop me off at these like magic clubs. And each time I go to a magic club in one city, I'd tell them where I'm going next, and then they'd connect me with someone in the area next time.
That is amazing.
And then I went to a conference in New York, and it was a big centennial for Houdini. And they were basically, you know, all the top magicians were there, like David Blaine, Copperfield, Siegfried and Roy. And I got asked to perform. So I'm performing in front of all of my heroes. And halfway through the performance, this guy stood up and he goes, "This kid's a effing Dynamo." And for the rest of that convention, everyone called me the Dynamo Kid. And when I came back to England, you know, that became like my stage name. Obviously, as I got older, I lost the kid part. But you know, it's
and
weird.
I remember, and the effing bit.
Yeah, well, I remember asking them, like, I didn't really know what a dynamo meant. I didn't know what it was. And he goes, "Oh, it's a compliment, but you know, it's a good thing, you know, so take it." So I'm like, "Cool." And then I looked it up, and you know, essentially it's a small generator that produces electrifying results far greater than the size of it. And I guess that kind of does sum me up, because I was a really small kid then, but I was doing all these incredible things, and I had this enthusiasm, this kinetic energy about my performances that I think, you know, that really summed up the person that I was becoming back then.
Do you know what? My biggest thing, the reason why I love doing the podcast like this is when you talk to people, when you can see I can see your eyes like light up, get so excited thinking about and talking about magic and talking about the people that you met and those experiences. There's a book that I read, one of the only books I've ever read. It was called Outliers.
Oh, it's brilliant. Yeah, Malcolm Gladwell.
Yeah, exactly. Which is all about the idea of luck and timing and right place at right time. Do you believe that's right in your life? That you, like going to Memphis and the performance, being there, or going to the dining your nana had organised. It feels like there's just these moments in time that have led you towards the sort of situations you're in now.
Totally. I think, to go back to what you said earlier, I think naivety played a huge part in it. I don't think I didn't, it's not like I had a roadmap and I was just following it, right? But, I do look back now and I think, you know what? Those difficult performing environments, the kind of people challenging me and making me question, is this the thing I should be doing? Well, it made me ask the right questions about myself, and I stuck with my guns, and I've been doing magic ever since. Do you know what I mean? So I think all those, everything in life, be it positive and negative, I do think happens for a reason, and I think you can learn something from all of it.
Stephen, honestly, I've enjoyed every single second of this. It's been unbelievable. We like to end with 7 questions. So please answer as truthfully as you can.
Okay.
What is a saying or phrase that always makes you smile or cheers you up?
This saying will not mean, it's probably not even a real saying, but my nana used to always say it to me, and my grandpa used to always say it, right? Whenever, I'll try to give context to what they say. So whenever someone would say they're going to do this, and it sounds like a grandiose statement that's never going to happen, my nana or grandpa would always say, oh, well, I've heard ducks fart in deep water before. And I don't know if they made it up. Like, whenever they say it, I know exactly what they mean, but I actually don't know what it means.
I don't know what it means either.
Like, I know the intention behind it.
I know the intention as well, yeah.
It's a bit like saying pigs might fly, right? And my nana and grandpa are both dead now, so no one else is saying it to me, so I feel like it's my duty to keep it alive.
Keep it alive. Please keep it alive. I like it. Best compliment anyone's ever given you?
My wife for staying with me after everything.
That made me emotional. I don't know why. That was really sweet. I like that a lot. What scares you most about yourself?
My ego.
When was the last time you cried?
Last night, I was watching the ITV drama show about the postmasters, the Mr. Bates versus the post office, I think it's called.
Yeah.
The 4th episode, in the kind of final wrap up, like, I literally welled up. Like, yeah, I mean, it's such a travesty what's happened to them.
It's unbelievable.
I really hope that they get the compensation that they need, and that they, because lives were ruined.
What's something that you'd be embarrassed for people to know you like or want?
I don't know if I get embarrassed about stuff. Like I said, the most embarrassed or the biggest shame I think I felt was, like I say, that night on the 6th of November. But I don't know, like maybe some of the songs that I listen to in my car when I'm driving around, you know what I mean? Like Little Mix are definitely in the playlist, which is not something people would expect me to listen to.
Hey,
but they've got some bangers, you know what I mean?
Yeah, listen,
can I say?
The Mysterious Girl comes on, I am away.
Good music's good music, you know what I mean?
I agree with you. What turns you off?
Early mornings.
What turns you on?
Late nights.
What do you most like about yourself?
Right now, I guess my name, Stephen.
Great answer. Lastly, what's your favourite swear word?
It's not like I go around saying this, but like, it's almost like when I'm telling stories about, when I'm telling stories to my friends, and I kind of overemphasize the word fucking hell. You know what I mean? I don't speak like is that like the Essex way of saying, yeah, it's like I say it, but I like the way it sounds when other people say it in that tone.
I know. That's a great one.
Sometimes when I'm doing magic to people and they go, fucking hell, that's incredible. Like, you know, so I incite a lot of swear words from other people, but I don't swear too much myself.
I love that. I want to say thank you for sharing, honestly, your magic with us. It's honestly been amazing, and I just know people listening to this, it's gonna touch people in so many different ways. And sometimes I kind of it feels a bit. I listen to podcasts and they feel a bit heavy, but what you do so amazingly is that you've taken us on this journey of your life, through the ups and the downs, and just showing where you are now. And I think it's going to really encourage people to go and really just go after what they want.
Thank you. I think you're giving me more credit for it because you navigated the journey.
I did not at all. Honestly, I'd far more, but Jemima producer was like, get to the end. We've got time. Before you go, and I just want everyone to go and watch your show. I go to Sky, go and get it. We're going to leave all the links in the description.
I started a new Instagram. I started from zero again. So
I've just followed it.
Dynamo is dead. So yeah, check me out on there. I don't have that many followers, so it's quite good. I can interact and literally respond to everybody. So it's cool. And I'm getting to. There's loads of magic that I filmed over the last few years that I didn't put anywhere. So I'm kind of slowly putting things on there.
Go and follow it and and honestly, we'll leave everything in the description below, so all you gotta do is click on it and then you can go and follow, and it's incredible. Before you go, you have to do one more trick because that's the rules in the room. Can we do one more?
Yeah, let's do it. You know what?
Saw me in half.
I'm gonna do something that you inspired about an hour ago when we first started speaking.
Really?
And it's something that I've done before, but you said something and it reminded me of this weird skill that I have. So I'm going to show you it.
Okay, I can't wait. I love that little flex with the shuffle. It's honestly.
Yeah. So earlier on, we were talking about one of my first like proper jobs, working at Manningham Concrete, where I was counting nails basically and putting them into a bag, so making sure there was 100 nails in each bag. And you said, oh, did you ever try like, you know, just trying to guess how many nails were in your hand just from the feel? And you joked about it, but it reminded me of this thing that I learned kind of a few years ago when I was in hospital, because my Crohn's ended up developing arthritis in all my joints. I've still got it and I'm on medication for it. But there was times when even just putting one card in my hand sent shooting pains up my arm. So I practiced every day just getting the cards back in my hands and was able to kind of take that notion and that idea and use that sensation and feeling to do what I'm about to show you. So you know how many cards there is in a pack, right?
52,
yeah. So lift up a small pile.
Get out of here. There's no ways. You're not, this isn't okay.
Perfect. Right. And then just hold them with my hand and just drop them all together now. 16.
Get out of here. No, there isn't. No, there isn't. No, there isn't.
Look, put your hands together like this. Yeah, look. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16.
Fucking hell! Are you serious?
But we'll try again. Like you can
what? That is wild.
Go for a bigger pile if you want this time.
Okay.
Or it's up to you, as many as you want. I don't want to influence you.
Holding it a certain way. Okay.
Perfect. Just drop them now. 32.
No, there's not.
I think 32. I'm going to say 32. Put your hands like this. Okay. So look, this time you count them. Yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32 cards. That is...
Hold on one sec though, because the reason I got you to count them that time is because I was trying to challenge myself. I was trying to memorize each card as I dealt it down. Obviously, we've shuffled these cards and we've used them early on. So, but the top card there, just turn it over. It's a 4 of clubs.
Are you serious? It's a 4 of clubs.
4 of clubs, yeah. There was a 2 of hearts.
It's 2 of hearts.
7 of diamonds.
7 of diamonds.
3 of clubs.
3 of clubs.
4 of hearts. There's 6 of diamonds. I'll go a bit faster.
6
the
diamonds.
Ace of spades, and then a 5 of hearts. 9 of spades and a 2 of spades.
9 of spades.
And then
2 of spades.
Queen of hearts. Queen of hearts.
Queen of hearts.
3 of diamonds. Queen of clubs. 8 of hearts.
Oh my god.
A 5. No. Sorry. A 6 of spades. 6 of spades.
6 of spades.
Then a 5 of spades.
And then a 5 of spades.
Then a 9 of hearts.
Then a 9 of
King
hearts.
of clubs.
King of
2
clubs.
of diamonds. Jack of hearts. 3 of spades and an 8 of spades.
3 of spades. And then an 8 of spades.
8 of spades. 6 of hearts. 10 of clubs.
10 of clubs.
5 of diamonds.
5 of
then
diamonds.
a king of diamonds. King of diamonds. 2 of hearts. No, 2 of clubs.
2 of clubs.
2 of clubs. Then a 3 of hearts. 3 of
3
hearts.
of hearts.
Yeah. 8 of diamonds.
8 of diamonds.
5 of clubs.
5 of clubs.
King of spades.
King of spades.
And a jack of diamonds.
That is outrageous! Steven, that is unbelievable. Everybody, listen to this fucking episode. It's unbelievable. Thank you so much. It's unbelievable. Thank you so much, buddy.
Thank you, man.
That has been amazing. Thank you so much. As I said, everything's in the
you.
description. Thank you, everybody. Listen, we'll see you next week. Goodbye! Woo. That is outrageous!